Hey guys, how we doing? I am working on a '07 Toyota Tundra with a 5.7 and a leaky water pump. And I'm going to do a little how-to video because I went to go look for one and I haven't seen one, so there'll be one now. Alright, here's a little journey. Here's our truck we're working on. I think it's got about 70,000 miles on it, roughly, something like that, and it's been leaking for a while. This is the new water pump that's going to be going in it. And then it has a gasket with a tin splash shield on it with gaskets already made on that. And they feel like almost like a Teflon type material. Kind of hard to say what they're actually made out of. It feels like metal with impregnated something on it. So that's the gasket, and then an O-ring. Water pumps have a couple of different ones, but they have essentially either one or two bearings in them and one or two seals in them. Generally 2 bearings, 2 seals. And there's an inner and there's an outer. What happens is when the inner one starts to fail and it allows fluid to go by, there's your impeller, the fluid wants to go through and actually exit right out the front. So what they do is they cast in what's called a weep hole, which is that right there. That's your weep hole, and that would allow fluid to drip out. If it didn't, it would also take out the outer bearing and also contaminate everything else that's in the front of the motor. But that's what the process of that is for. So it's to stop the pump from totally destroying itself. So the process was, we're going to do this in a couple of videos, and the very first thing was to disconnect your negative battery terminal, which is done, and then there's a bottom skid plate, splash pan, whatever you want to call it, which is this pan right here. Has approximately 6 screws on it that hold it, and then a couple of little ones on some plastic clips up here. Right there, those little guys. There's a cover, plastic cover covering the motor. There's no hardware on that. Just lift the cover straight up. It will come off. Then we went to getting some access to the front of the motor. It's fairly tight in there. You probably got, with the fan shroud and the fan removed, there's probably, I don't know, 8 inches between that pulley and the radiator. So what we went about going to do was first getting a nice clean pan, or if you have a dirty pan, line it with a plastic trash bag, which I've done there, especially if you're going to reuse some of the fluid. If not, don't worry about it. And you're going to open that white PET valve right there. That's going to allow the fluid to come out. Once you do that, you can crack your radiator cap and the fluid will come out at a decent pace. While that's happening and your fluid level is dropping down, you can take your upper radiator hose off, and that will allow you to access the fan itself that's sitting on this pulley. What I did was I just take a big screwdriver and I lock the stud below it and crack the nut above, or else the pulley's going to want to turn on you. So if you take a big screwdriver, picture that there's nuts still on that, so you're not boogering up the threads, but that screwdriver is going to hold the pulley from turning. Once you get all 4 of them loose, then you can just go and spin the nuts right off. Now the fan will come away from the pulley, but you're not going to have room to get it out because the shroud is still in the way, but that's okay. Just set it in the fan shroud. And then the fan shroud has a screw on this side and a screw on this side holding the top in, and then you have like these are probably tranny cooler lines or oil cooler lines. There's a little plastic clip that holds that. I'll show you on the shroud itself. There's that plastic clip. To get these to remove, you kick it to the side and allow it to come off. Those 2 screws you're going to take out holding the shroud, and then you're going to lift the shroud and the fan out at the same time. It'll give you access to get in there. Also, there's an overflow bottle, and that just has a line on it. You can pop the line off the top of the radiator. One thing to watch out for while you're working on it, that nozzle sticks right out of there, so be careful on that sucker that you don't break that off. I am now going to take a work blanket or fender cover and wrap it over that radiator for 2 reasons. One is to protect the radiator, and the other one's to protect you. If you ever reach your hands across the fins on a radiator, you only want to do it once. I'm going to try to shove you down inside the hole and show you how this is failing and what it looks like. Let me see if I can kind of zoom in on what I want to zoom in on. There we go. Get you some better light. That's what we're dealing with. You can see all that coagulated antifreeze that's come out of there. That's what our issue is. And again, you're going to see that dripping down the front of your motor or on your front skid plate. You know your water pump's failing. So that's what we're repairing. There's also a thermostat that's going to get replaced, and that's right on the top of the motor in that housing right there. Not too big of a deal to get to that one. I may or may not pull the radiator out if it's necessary. I'm not sure. We're going to work around that, try to do as least as possible at first. Once you're at that point, take yourself a piece of paper and trace out where the pulleys are and how the belt goes, because if you don't do that, you're going to have a very hard time trying to figure it out, because it looks like it goes one way, but it actually doesn't. Generally, cars have a decal on them, and they'll kind of give you a showing of the serpentine belt route, but this does not have that, so just want to take yourself a minute to do that ahead of time. All right, so that's going to end this first segment of this video, and I'm not sure how many it's going to take, but I'll do the whole process going through. Again, thanks for watching.